Welcome back, everybody. Spot On Jaguars, brought to you by Teal Reign. We got another victory cigar day as we beat down the hopeless Steelers. So we're going to talk about that game, the big trade with Minnesota. We're also going to do our first half grades going into the bye week with some way too early Pro Bowl talk. And we got a special announcement to make about the event coming up with the Boselli Foundation. All that plus the Pick'em Challenge, so stick around. If you like Jaguars, football, and all things Duval, hit the like and subscribe button, mash the notification bell, and let's get started. All right, we're back once again. It's been Jeff and Eric here to talk about the Jaguars beatdown of the Steelers. And this was actually a contentious game with some talk coming back and forth from both sides before the week and even so after the game. First, Ben, let's get into a little bit of trash talk first. Let's start with that. We had some fun this week, and then we'll get into the offense. So going back to last week, they were talking about some of the Steelers players. When I say the Jaguars having what they labeled a hope defense, which I guess they're saying we're hoping and praying to make stops. I don't even know. What was that all about? Like, get into that for me real quick.
Well, it started with, and it really didn't start with, but the first thing that came out where there was some chirping, and it wasn't really by the team. I didn't hear the team say anything, but it was fans and people online were making a big deal out of Trevor making a comment. He was effusive in his praise about the Steelers and the history and the stadium, everything about that. But when he mentioned the towels, he said, "Yeah, they got the little towels." A total throwaway comment. I hope actually that Trevor is savvy enough, and I kind of think it was, where he was just going to throw that little in there where he could kind of.
Well, the towel is a smaller size.
It's a small towel, right? I know. It was a nothing comment, and he followed that up again by just saying all kinds of nice things. But then George Pickens, a reporter asked him. That was another thing. The reporter asked him about the Jaguars' defense, why the defense was ranked or was playing poorly. And he clearly doesn't watch, which I get it. That's fine. But and Pickens said that they've invested a lot in their line, and they have what he called a hope defense, basically saying that they hope that the back end of the defense can hold it down long enough for the defensive line to make a play. So it was a shot at the secondary, okay, by and large, and. So I mean, that's what we entered the game with. I mean, there was obviously for us, they like to say, "Oh, the Jaguars aren't a rival." They kind of take that stance on it. We came into the league, we were in their division. They were in our division.
Right, there is some history.
Right,
there.
There's history, but on top of that, we've always played them well. We have more wins versus them than they have against us. And so anyway, that was just kind of like the nice little spark to this game was Pickens saying that.
And then after the game, so obviously some foreboding, the Jaguars won the game.
Handle
we got
business.
the W. And then Deontay Johnson, their other receiver, was talking about
crying,
even Mike Tomlin. Crying about the referee, specifically the sequence of events in the first half that led to them taking 3 points off the board for. They made a field goal. They got called for being offsides, a rare penalty that we don't see much in the league. Mike Tomlin said in his 17 years he's never seen it called. Actually, Vice President of Officiating for the NFL actually said it was the correct call afterwards and said, you have to line up on sides. And so they got that field goal taken off the board. The ensuing field goal attempt was no good, and then we went into the half. So they were crying, like you said, about the refereeing after the game. And that's, what is that? Is that just sour grapes?
No, it was embarrassing. Tomlin, I love him, and he can say whatever he wants, and he did it, to me a little bit better. He articulated that a little bit better, as far as him thinking there was a disparity in the calls. But Deontay Johnson it was embarrassing. He was acting like a complete baby, saying some nonsensical things. He said that something like he hoped the refs got paid well, or that they got paid off, and that the league wants the Jaguars to win, which is hilarious. That is funny. This blue blood team with all the championships, and then Jaguars who regularly get.
The Miles Jack wasn't down, right? They get jobbed in the playoffs.
But the other thing with that is there was another call, and that is a call that if that happens to us, we're pissed off about that, right? We're like, oh, but I get it, I get that. the penalties were the same. We each had 6 penalties. And I believe they were actually penalized for more yards, or we were actually penalized for more yards than they were. Now, the other thing that was a point of contention, and a lot of this, it wasn't just Deontay Johnson and it wasn't just Tomlin or whoever. It was the fans were unbelievable. Like, I thought the Bills were crybabies after the whole jet lag thing. You know, forget about us having to fly and all that.
After the game with the terrible towel.
If you were on social media, oh my God, they just all went and they were going in about how the refs. There was the other play where Gotsis tackled Pickett and injured him, and they didn't throw the flag on him. And I can get that too, even though they said it was clean. It was. You never know nowadays, because if you look at a quarterback the wrong way, there's a possibility that you're going to get a flag.
Okay, well, speaking of lucky for us, we have a resident trash talk expert on the panel with us, Jeff. There's an old saying: if you talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. Going into this game, the Pittsburgh Steelers were doing a lot of talking, and when it came time to walk that walk, they kind of fell by the wayside. Didn't really show up to the game battle the way they talked.
No. Not at all. I mean, even
on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do we respect their trash talk and their backing up of said talk?
This ain't the Steelers of the old. Okay, just like Pat McAfee said.
You talking about the ones we used to beat then too?
Yeah, I mean, we went into the artist formerly known as Heinz Field.
The artist.
In cold, cooler weather, rain,
mud.
We played truly Pittsburgh football. Smash mouth, and dominated this team from the beginning.
Yeah,
that's the thing for me. Like,
the score is not even.
It's not. We shot ourselves in the foot.
The score is not even what it should. They're lucky. We'll give you the 3 points. You still lose, but it's like we went into Pittsburgh, played Pittsburgh ball.
And that was
and grabbed the Pittsburgh towel and waved in victory.
Historically, that was their style.
In respect.
The mud, the rain, the cold weather, the bad weather, the smash mouth style. That's what they're known for. That's their calling card. The Jaguars went in there and beat them at their own game on their own field. It's at this point, that trash talk just seems a little bit
objectively
unnerving.
Like, I am a objective fan. Like, I can sit there and we'll celebrate if there's like a BS penalty called, but then I'll be like, yeah, that was garbage. I'd have been mad too. I don't know how you watch that game and for any second think that I never had a doubt, and I'm the eternal pessimist. We talked about when it comes to we're gonna blow this game and having that Jags PTSD. At no point did I think we were going to lose that game. We were the better team on the field. Right. And even if there was an iffy call here or there, that you can't know anything about football and watch that game and think that was the reason that you lost the game.
If you watch the lines of scrimmage, if you watch who got off the ball faster, if you watch who had the better players and the better playmakers, the Jaguars were checking all the boxes, turnovers, time of possession. The Jaguars were just checking off the boxes and who the better team was. And actually, let's actually get into the game.
Their terrible towels went to terrible tissues because they cried.
Let's actually get into the game itself right now. We'll starting with offense like we always do. Trevor Lawrence, another good day from him. Actually, better than good. Another really good day from him. In terrible weather, terrible conditions. Stepped 24 for 32, 292 yards passing with a touchdown. He did have the one interception. We're going to talk about that interception.
His hair looked good.
Hair looked really good. 71.6 QBR and 100 for a quarterback rating. He also added a carry with 10 yards. Trevor putting together another solid performance, standout performance, and carrying the team to victory. We can't even say enough about him now. It's just become what we expect week to week. And when you expect consistently good to great quarterback play, you have a chance to win every single week. We've talked about Trevor. Obviously, we're going to talk about Trevor. Tell us a little bit more now what it's become going into the game where you can rely on that guy.
I mean, that's the thing is I trust Trevor, and he may throw an interception or he may fumble the ball, maybe trying to extend a play too much. A big thing coming into this game for me was, we talked about it on the last show, was, if there is bad weather, I was real, anxious to see how that's going to turn out, considering when we played Philly, he had the 4 fumbles and all that. And he had the bad interception, which it looked like Trevor versus Houston or Denver last year, like year 1 or year 2 Trevor, or start of year 2 Trevor, in that early part of the season when he was still trying to figure things out.
That was a young rookie style mistake that
right
he made.
It was. And but whatever, but the bottom line is, and this might not just be Trevor, this could be the offense in general, and a credit to the offensive line, which we'll talk more about. But the offense was more vertical, it seemed. Like he was taking shots downfield. He was having time to take shots downfield. And I just, he again, something else that we talked about, he is managing the games, but that's not taking a shot. You have guys that aren't talented that you say, oh, he's a good game manager. Trevor is like a super talented, clutch
and what you
gamer
mean by
game
that
manager
is he takes what that means is he takes what the defense gives you. Now, if the defense is going to give you a deep bomb, you're taking the deep bomb. If the defense gives you underneath routes, you're going to take the underneath stuff. And you can check into the best place to keep your offense moving. Back to that interception. Now, did it seem to you, coming off last week, we had Calvin Ridley with the one catch for 5 yards. This week, did it seem to you like they were trying to get Calvin more involved in the offense? Which they did, by the way. It was 6 catches for 83 yards. But it almost seemed like they were forcing the ball, especially on the interception, where he never took his eyes off the guy. It was a rookie throw, trying to get him in the end zone. Did it almost seem like they were trying to get Calvin into the game?
I look at that replay and I can't explain why he threw that ball.
I mean,
I've seen the replay so many times trying to justify what he saw, and I'm like, Bub, I can't help you. I don't.
Well,
I don't know
and even
what
you
happened.
said they, and I was like, I don't think that was a they. I think that was a Trevor, because
Okay,
even in the hunt, they or
I'm
whatever
trying to
the
get
sounds
him
of
off
the game or whatever, they're showing it happen, and coach is on the sideline, and he's like watching it happen. He's like, all right, throw that away. You can hear him say, throw it away, and then he throws the pick. I was trying to look at it too, and I'm trying to look at the different angles, and it was like, I can see he had like the defender behind him, a defender kind of in front of him. He could have fit it in there, but the guy, that maybe he just didn't see that last guy come in there,
maybe he sneezed
something
as he was throwing.
Your eyes blink, it's involuntary.
I tried to spin it for you, Trevor. I couldn't do it. That was a bad one. Another receiver, big day.
But during that, we were like, what the was that? We were like, what? What happened?
A little deflating.
What happened?
All right, everyone gets a mistake or two. All right.
But another positive of Trevor is the way he stood in there. And on the one play that I loved was when
the Christian Kirk pass.
When he stood in the pocket,
who
was it that hit him? Was that Watt?
I don't know who hit him, but it was a gut.
Yeah,
in the gut.
Blasted him.
Yeah,
and he hung in there.
like a chair, like,
bam. Hit Kirk on the money.
Strike. Yeah.
Kirk dropped him, or
he
stood up for the first down. Yeah, that was awesome.
Another receiver we need to talk about, Evan Ingram.
Yeah.
I mean, he was every 10 catches, 88. He did have the fumble, but that was the guy put his helmet right on the ball.
That's the only fumble, only turnover. Because fumbles you could avoid. Some fumbles you can't.
That was just perfect.
And that was on the money.
On the ball.
It don't matter how tight he was holding it.
Right.
It was hat to ball.
Yeah, it was.
It was a legitimate fumble. So
when that play happened, because it seems like sometimes we'll be on a drive, and just teams in general, and then somebody does something cute. And I'm like, hey, just run a normal play instead of that little show. But the thing was, when you watch the replay, he had yards in front of him. It was going to be a great pickup, and it was just that hat to the ball,
But it just seems like this guy is always open every play. I mean, this guy has just become a threat. He is a weapon.
He's one of the anchors to the offense.
So Christian Kirk added 4 catches for 46 yards. Obviously, the big one when Trevor took the hit, delivered the strike.
Yeah.
Was it a corner and a safety on Kirk at that point? I don't remember. I mean, it was a nice day for Christian Kirk too.
But what's a trend is what we're talking about is Trevor spreading that ball around. He's taking what they give him. Ridley had big yards. He hit Kirk for some good yardage. He had Ingram, and he hit somebody else for a nice little touchdown.
His passing touchdown was to Etienne. And Etienne now, I want to save Etienne for a minute. This guy.
That's called a segue.
This is big segue. I like it. Thanks for helping me out there, Ben. Etienne now has become an elite offensive weapon. We're talking on par with the Christian McCaffreys, with the Saquon Barkley. He doesn't get talked about enough in the national media. This guy, 24 carries for 79 yards, 3 catches for 70 yards and touchdown, 150 total yards, 27 touches. I mean, they can't stop him. There's no answer for the guy.
He's my favorite offensive player.
He's an elite offensive weapon on par, and needs to be in the discussion for Offensive Player of the Year, up there with Tyreek Hill, with the Christian McCaffreys. guys are just not giving him the respect on the national media that he deserves, and he's huge right now.
And one thing I love about him, and this is like not even a big stat or not even a big talk about, is that you'll have guys running backs, and he's a pretty stout guy. Even though he's small, he's a pretty stout guy.
Right.
You have that testosterone, you have that ego, and you want to run through people. He's smart enough to where he's getting tackled. Unless he can get away, he does not try to run over anybody, which is longevity on his body.
Yeah,
like he'll just go whoop.
Sometimes little people do have big egos, but like that's actually something that
you took a shot.
That is a shot.
It was a small shot.
Shots
but
fired.
but no, but
And
that,
he even threw the small shot in there.
but actually, you know what though? That was
I'm not
one
talking
thing.
for 15 seconds.
Eric, listen, I'm making a point.
Where's the microphone going? No, go ahead.
No, but that was one thing that ETN used to do last year, which he was getting killed. And it wasn't that he was trying to run people over, but you always see the best running backs. They're able to like at the last second kind of twist or turn and not take the full brunt of that. He's a lot better at that because remember how many near fumbles he had last year?
Yeah.
There was a couple times where he would fumble or it would bobble
the brunt of the tackle
instead of kind of, and he's not doing that.
And that's a skill.
Yeah.
Getting tackled is a skill.
Well, and last
I'm
year
glad you noticed it because we don't even talk about that, and I've noticed it, and it's good that you've noticed it. The way he's just not doing what he did, like just that.
Yep, it's that little side movement. You can never
getting hurt. Just little side.
He has that burner speed. When he turns that speed on, he's just gone. I mean, that's just a game changer.
And he got hurt. And it was, he rolled his ankle, and they were, because he was out of the game for a little bit, and I was like worried. But then they taped him up, and he said, "You know what? I got the bye week. I'm good. Let's go." And that was.
Who drafted him? That was.
I don't remember.
Good draft pick.
Balky.
We don't know, huh?
Who's that guy?
Balky
it was that one coach that drafted
that one guy.
You talking about the guy that wanted
He's
him
the
to
one
play
guy
receiver?
That kicked that one guy.
Hey, but listen, what's funny about that is, Herbs took flack, which I actually didn't hate on him for this. They had him taking receiver reps in practice. They had ETN, and people killed him. This is a top tier running back.
taking enough flack that
He's done some good stuff.
He did
He's
something.
done some good stuff.
All right, and then
I can't hate.
Let's give some flowers to the offensive line as a whole, the unit as a whole.
Seems to be getting better.
Give him some donuts.
And we're actually.
Congratulations.
This is foreshadowing to the trade we're going to talk about coming up soon. But the offensive line as a whole held T.J. Watt to quiet day. He did have a half sack, which I think he just piled on to the end. It wasn't even really.
I didn't know he played, actually.
Yeah, you didn't hear his name called.
Which is really nice to know that Anton Harrison. I don't, I didn't watch all the film or whatever if they were, double teaming, but I know I did see him one-on-one with T.J. Watt a couple times, the rook,
right,
and he held his own.
But having ETN have that offensive line to run behind, making him look better, giving Trevor some time, keeping him upright, and we did not hear all-world defensive end T.J. Watt's name being called, and I really do think that half sack was the weakest half sack ever credited to a player in my life. So we'll give them that one. Whatever, they have their little towels and they can wave them.
And after the game, the Pittsburgh Titans game, that was just on, he was wreaking havoc, and that made me excited. Not only that, we kind of held him in check, but I'm kind of drooling over us playing versus that Tennessee team and that offensive line because they look sorry.
Right.
They were kind of a sieve. So
yeah. And now, speaking of defensive ends and sacks, you want to segue into the defense, and we'll talk about our all-world defensive talent, Josh Allen.
The Josh Allen.
The real Josh Allen. 2 sacks in the game, bringing his total up to 9 for the season.
Third in the league.
Firmly in third place in the league, and we think he's going to climb that ladder a little bit more going forward. And not only did he wreak havoc, but Trayvon Walker added another sack. Looking stout on the line. So
Trayvon getting on the stat sheet.
Yeah. So both the pass rushers looking good in that game, looking real good. So our defense now has become an elite run unit, right? You just can't run the ball on the Jacksonville Jaguars. They've taken that out of the equation.
You can pass because we want you to.
And then when you become a one-dimensional team,
which we've talked about
on offense, now the Jaguars can start doing different stuff. They can add some blitzes in. They can add some coverage in. They can do different things because we already know you're not running the ball. And that's just a safety net or a very good feeling to have as a defense coordinator, what you're allowed to do now to be able to exploit their offense. Let's talk about that for a second and what this unit's become specifically against the run. Ben, go ahead.
Well, what we've talked about so much.
You've talked about.
We've talked about.
Because he talks a lot.
What we've talked about so much.
We've listened.
Nobody likes him very much at all. You know, his contribution is the space.
Anyways, we got a mic check here. Go ahead.
What we have talked about collectively is, a desire for pass rushing, and do we need, another pass rusher? I heard somebody on the radio today said that our pass rushing tandem of defensive end is number 2 in the league. Now, granted, that's Josh Allen is
right.
a lot of Josh Allen, but we didn't get another pass rush at the trade deadline. But I feel like we're organically creating pass rush by how we're making the teams one-dimensional. And we talked about that preseason, about our offense is going to put up so many points and we're going to be all this and that on offense that teams are going to have no choice but to pass, which that's coming still, by the way, I believe, in the second half of the year.
Agree.
But so our defense is making them one-dimensional, but part of that, too, is we're getting guys healthy. Devon Hamilton played a few snaps. Now, he's coming off injury. He didn't play a ton of snaps. But have Devon Hamilton, have Roy Robertson Harris in the middle. Those guys can get that interior
Smoot
push. Smoot, yeah, for sure. Smoot. And so, I mean, they're just – I think the sacks are going to come. I would have felt better to have a single person, that you can put in there and you can go in there and sack the quarterback opposite of Josh Allen. But I think we're going to accomplish that more as the season goes on.
And look at the 8 games we had. Defensively, in the 8 games, there's one game.
Houston game.
One game where our
Houston
defense
and
failed.
nothing went right in that game.
You see what I'm saying?
Everybody failed that game.
Why, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's project this going forward to the playoffs, where we're going to see quarterbacks like who we expect to see: Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Tua, where you can't blitz these guys because they will tear you, they will pick you apart, they will destroy your defense.
We'll pick them
so
apart.
You have to be able to get pass rush with your front four, with the line. And doing that now against these teams, we're just foreshadowing what we're hoping to do in the playoffs. This is how you have to be able to play in the playoffs. And the Jaguars are showing that they can now do that, along with stopping the run without loading the box with extra guys. This is what we're seeing right here is playoff caliber defense, Super Bowl caliber defense, and it all starts with the run defense.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. And personally, me, I would rather have a better run defense than a pass defense.
Right.
I don't want people running all over me.
Well,
period. The one thing I wish
because then they get to
will
dictate the game.
fix.
They get to dictate the pace of the game if they can run the ball.
The one thing I wish they would fix, and I hope they upgrade on this, and we talked about this Sunday, is every time we score, I feel like our defense does not step up, and they just drive down the field.
We give the momentum back. That's what
Did we not do it in the Pittsburgh game? And we've done it in several other games to where we score, and it's not the same defensive calls. There's not that same intensity,
Well, it was like that in New Orleans too, but I kind of attribute that more to fatigue. It seemed like we kind of had that little bit of lead, and then they kind of took their foot off the gas maybe a little bit. But I think they were tired. Right.
It's 20-3, and then all of a sudden you just let them just.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it does kind of.
It wasn't even a defensive stand.
You wonder.
It was like so quick.
Yeah.
We couldn't even relish in the moment we scored a touchdown.
You wonder if they're not as aggressive or whatever. But I'm really not. The defense has really. It's been the best unit. I have zero
complaints.
No, I know. And then backing up that defense or that defensive line, and us making it impossible for teams to run. We got a secondary that's playing lights out.
And that's what we're
An injured secondary, by the way.
So
which
that's what I want to ask
another way, just a little side note, is the Steelers fans were. I saw them on social media talking about, oh yeah, congratulations, you beat a team with all these injuries or whatever. Yeah. Cisco, Tyson Campbell.
Listen, we're halfway through the season. Everybody's injured right now. It's football. Right. I don't want to hear that.
Zay Jones, we had so many people.
I'm sorry that we have a more talented. I'm sorry, we have a more talented roster than you have. We have a complete
shout
roster.
Out the bulky, but no,
starters.
but that's what's exciting though is you have Darius Williams, who is, I think PFF had him as the top ranked cornerback in the NFL.
Right, and that's what I was going to ask you. So enough with the run defense. Let's get to the pass
We'll
defense.
talk about the injury part. But
We'll get it. But the thing is, when you play complementary football like the Jaguars are playing on defense, when you set up the run game like that and you can deploy your pass defense into coverage and you can get a guy like Darius Williams, who was not the most hyped guy, wasn't the guy that we were talking about. We were talking about Tyson Campbell preseason. We've been talking about that's the best corner on the team historically or for the last couple of seasons. Talk about a guy like Darius Williams being a Johnny on the spot, being a guy that can get a turnover machine right now, just making plays all over the field. What do you have, 3 passes broken up this game? All 3 of them easily could have been interceptions. We're going to attribute that to the rain.
One where he like stretched out and broke that. That was beautiful. It was perfect.
So you've been talking about Darius Williams for a few weeks, Ben. Now's your time to shine. Let's hear it.
Listen.
What's his nickname?
Duval Darius? I don't know.
Did you come up with that? I'm saying, we're gonna.
I don't know. Maybe
turn all the lights off and have the spotlight on him right now.
He's been talking about.
We can do that.
He's been talking about Darius. I got to give it to him. You finally earned it.
It's not that. It's not that. Listen, he's the one making the plays. He came on. He was out of position.
He's the one making the plays.
It's Jimmy's and Joe's is what it comes down to.
No, but he's been telling me about Darius Williams since before.
Yeah. So last year we started off the year.
Now.
He was playing out of position, and then he came on at the end of last year, and somebody on this panel, I won't mention any names, was like, we've got to, in the draft, they wanted a cornerback, and I was like, yeah, we do need some help in the secondary, Eric or whoever it was. But I was like, Darius is a really good player, man. I was like, Campbell's, he's awesome.
Corner wasn't even on my radar.
Yeah,
in the draft.
I wanted help. I wanted depth, but I thought Darius Williams was a really good player. And he's been, but he exceeded what I thought he would do. I didn't know he was going to be PFF's #1 graded cornerback this year. Right. You know what I mean? And so, and then when we get Tyson, when we get Cisco back, which Cisco, it's kind of sounded like he was almost held out
just
for
look at
precaution.
this injury list. I'm like going, dang.
Yeah. And there's going to be, some more injuries potentially. It's football. But when we come out of this bye, we're going to have, hopefully Zay, hopefully, Walker Little and all these other players, and then that defense at full strength.
That is going to be a lit tailgate.
It's going to be filthy, bro.
I just want to let y'all know right now.
That's going to be fun.
And I got to give Ben credit. He does have an eye for talent. That's why I'm here on this podcast.
You see my wife.
No, Darius Williams looking like a star.
He's right.
Star cornerback right now, doing great things in the field.
What are you talking about?
I said he's right, Ave.
Don't talk to my wife, bro.
Did your wife get a shot? Okay. No, seriously. Getting back to the defense. Antonio. We're losing it, guys. We're losing it.
No, it's hilarious. But reel us back in.
I'm going to light the cigar now, all right?
Okay, I got to stop. Go.
All right.
You got tequila too?
Yeah, I got tequila.
Is that what's happening here?
Cheers.
Is that what we did? We were switching from bourbon to tequila. That's why we're like this. All right, let's.
Because I don't feel good, so tequila's the best thing for it.
All right.
It's healthy for you. You don't know that?
No, I didn't. I was unaware.
Yep.
No, but seriously, Antonio Johnson, we got to give him credit. First career interception.
Yep. And that was his only play of the game. I think he was in on special teams, but his only snap that he played, it was an interception.
Yeah, he didn't have a tackle on the stat.
Oh, then one play, one pick. He's batting 1,000. We'll take it.
You think he took that ball home?
Oh, he's kept that ball. Yeah, he kept that ball. Yeah, that was in the trophy case right there.
Doug signed
so good job, Antonio, getting on the stat sheet with that Johnny on the spot pick. All right, so as a whole, team looking good. That's Pittsburgh, solid team, above average team, had a winning record. Go in there. Jaguars are now 6-2, going into the bye week. Exactly. Now we didn't know Houston was going to be a loss. We thought we'd be right around 6-2. In firm control of the division.
We did, actually. That's a good call.
Going into the bye week, and now we have a chance to get some of these guys healthy, get some of these guys back on the field, make a push for the second half, get into the playoff run.
You really couldn't ask. Obviously you could be undefeated, but under the circumstances,
couldn't ask for a better record right now.
Well, and just the whole situation going into the bye, we're going to get guys healthy. It looks like we're going to be. It seems like we're basically
a bye week. Like what you're.
Yeah.
I cut you off a little bit.
It was perfect.
You couldn't place a bye week any better.
Well, you know what?
Better.
They made it a perfect time because it could have been a perfect time when they came back from London, but they said, nope, we're going to push it off. We're going to go ahead and take care of business versus Indy. We're going to take care of business.
We're going to win 4 games in 19 days.
Yep, take care of business versus New Orleans on the road, tough environment, and then we're going to go to our second home in Pittsburgh, and we're going to
impressive.
It was beautiful. Yeah, it was awesome.
Not even talking about, except I got to give my boy a shout out again because he does watch this show. Not really. Pat McAfee, he always talks about us, and he talks about that.
No, he
gives us love.
And he, by the way, he gave a nice little assessment of what happened in Pittsburgh, and that's fun to watch. So I'm sure you can search it and look for it. But what I'm saying is, though, that stretch that they were able to get through undefeated, and then go into the bye week, and then some of these guys, just from hearing people talk, that had injuries that they maybe could have gone if it was like a make or break type thing. They said, you know what, we're going to err on the side of caution. We're going to keep you out one more game, get to the and we won, and so everything worked out perfectly. So we're going to come back in healthy, ready to roll,
and not against like crappy teams.
No,
it's either mediocre or above mediocre.
I was having this conversation.
Like Miami has not beat a solid team.
Right.
People get on Miami's bench.
And you
good. Have not beat anybody worth beating.
I mean,
you've lost to people who are actually really good. You have not beat anybody. So I'm sick and tired of this fins up crap. Beat someone worth beating, and then come talk to me with your Dolphin talk.
They're talented, but they haven't done what we've done. And this, I was having this conversation with somebody, I think during the game. We're winning the games we're supposed to win, but it's not like, you could say that if we were playing a 1-win team, right? We're beating teams that we're supposed to beat.
Well, now we beat Buffalo.
No. What I'm in addition to those games,
beat Pittsburgh on their road in inclement weather.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I think we're all saying is that these games that we're maybe favored in, we are handling business, but they're not 1-win teams. Okay. They're all teams that have won.
Division leaders. Atlanta was leading their division.
Right. And if y'all remember, like a couple shows
back, New Orleans
was
leading the division when we won.
A couple shows back, yeah. We were talking about we were about to play Buffalo, and Buffalo's coming off a win against Miami, and they're like, "Oh, Miami's this." I'm like, "Miami's not beat. They beat Denver 70-20. Whoop, big deal." But then they got manhandled by Buffalo, and I kept saying, Miami is not a team to even go, oh, well, Buffalo beat Miami, the week before we played Buffalo. And I wasn't trying to downgrade Buffalo. I'm just saying I was kind of downgrading Miami going, that's not really a quality win.
You had a lot of smoke from Miami this week.
Well, I'm just so tired of the talk. And people going, we're the number 1 team in Florida. You're not beating anybody.
I actually Miami is a team that I love. You have your division rivals and stuff like that, but
that's a silent rival.
They are, and like for the OG Jag fans, like when we first came into the league and we first got the team, there were teams like Miami that they had some fans here before
had a solid fan base in
right.
the city, right.
And when the Jags came in, they didn't get to watch their team on TV anymore. So like those they didn't like it. So there was a lot of bad blood early on. So I still hate them.
I mean, I don't hate them.
62-7.
I'm just right. Yeah, we just retired Marino. So it's fine. You're best quarterback ever. That's all I got to say about that.
Okay, moving on from Miami.
Okay, and then on to one more thing that happened this week, the trade deadline, NFL trade deadline, where the Jaguars were looking to make a couple moves. And when I say that, this is what it is. There's buyers and there's sellers. And there's teams that think, yes, we're going to make a run in the postseason. We're going to get a deep run. We might play for a Super Bowl. And then there's teams that think, hey, we need to kind of rebuild, shut it down, and try to get what we can for guys that are selling. So the Jaguars made a trade with the Minnesota Vikings. We picked up offensive lineman Ezra Cleveland, a second-round pick for them out of Boise State. We traded a 6th-round pick to get him here. Now, essentially, he's a 1-year rental because he is up for free agency after this season. Mm-hmm. So we will have to make a decision. Sign him, keep him, release him, whatever. So we will have a decision to make. But the funny thing is it was with Minnesota, a team that is 4-4. I believe they're 4-4. And
on a
they-
3-game winning streak.
on a 3-game winning streak, looking good, and they're now sellers at the deadline, meaning they think that they're not going to be able to make a run. Maybe has something to do with the Cousins injury. We don't know that.
I don't know
if
that
they're
they were
sellers.
sellers because they went up and they pick up
Josh
Josh
Dobbs.
Dobbs.
Right, so they're kind of in like some kind of
stopgap.
purgatory where they don't know where they're in. But they're
I think
selling.
that they had communication. I think that from what the news people, like local people, were saying, Mia O'Brien, I think, is one that was coming out and saying that Balky was really trying to get Daniil Hunter. He was trying to get Daniil Hunter in the offseason,
Right.
and they were trying to get him again. And I think that there was dialogue, and so it probably just came up that, hey, look, yeah, we'll throw you this pick for the
Which
off.
he's 1 and 2 in sacks in the league.
Who, Daniil? Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, that led to the Ezra
Back to
trade.
our guys. So we end up with Ezra Cleveland. We gave up a 6th-round pick, which we got via the Carolina Panthers trade.
Yep.
So we had an extra 6th-round pick, gave it up for Ezra Cleveland. This is, like I said, a temporary rental. And but he is a talented player.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like we ended up
Right.
because I think it's a great trade.
And he's a good player now.
I mean, just about 400 snaps, 2 penalties, and 1 sack.
that's it.
That's it.
And they say the best thing for an offensive lineman is not to hear his name during a broadcast. That means he's doing his job. And this guy does
And
his
something
job.
that we actually need. We really need.
And you know the old saying, you can never have enough offensive linemen, the old saying. But the thing of it is, we can speculate where he's going to go, where he's going to play on this line, who's going to come off, who's going to... But I don't think you pick up a guy and make a trade for a guy if you don't intend to play him, like to sit as a reserve player. But it does definitely signifies that the Jaguars they do try to make a run. They're trying to make a push. They didn't want to put all their chips in the middle and go after a Chase Young, a Montez Sweat.
Yeah.
They didn't want to give up a whole load of draft picks and stuff and try to go put all their chips in center. But they did want to make a couple quality moves, some quiet moves. So we were quiet on the trade deadline, but we did pick up a key addition in the offensive line. So kind of liking the moves. How do you feel about it? Ben, go ahead.
Well, it was funny. They got me 10-10 on the radio. Whoever made the announcement, I think it was JJ. I was at work. I got my AirPod in. Just one? Yeah, 'cause I got to be able to hear what's going on, you know.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So anyway, I'm walking and they say the Jags are trading with the Minnesota Vikings, and the other guy
I
was
bet you
walking.
went
I said
freaking
stop. I said stop.
Collaborate and listen.
Yeah. He turned around and said, but it's not for Daniil Hunter, and I was man, and you know. I wanted the pass rusher, whether it was Daniil Hunter or whoever. I wanted somebody else to help bolster that. But I'm really excited about us getting another offensive lineman to help, you know, solidify that unit. And I don't know what it says for Walker Little, or I don't know where he's going to play or how that's going to work out. But one thing that we talked about as far as in the early part of the season when we were discussing what we perceived as some struggles on the offense, it was like, is it Press Taylor? What was clear is offensive line wasn't playing well. Right. And so now going into the second half of the season with everyone getting healthy, now we got a not just another, you know, rotational player or whatever, a backup, but I mean, he's a good player.
Got some depth.
Yeah.
If we're gonna sit him, we got depth.
Yep. And so
I think he plays. I don't think you...
he's gonna play.
and I think so
He's
too.
gonna play.
And so that will allow for us to, you know, Trevor to actually get drop back and survey and be more, you know, some more downfield passing.
And again, you couldn't find a better bye week.
Yep.
You got a trade. You got a whole 2 weeks
Can kind of
fit him in.
incorporate.
Right.
to
Yep,
incorporate
Yep.
to where you're
So-
going to go against another team, which we'll talk later about, that made a big trade too.
So,
I think it's perfect.
So not a big splash, but we do like the move. We agree.
And yeah, I do. And they apparently one thing that I guess a little disappointing was they were in talks with the Patriots. From reports
For a pass
to
rusher,
get
they said,
Uche.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was between it was between a 4th or a 5th round pick, and they couldn't come to terms. And you know that would have been awesome, man. I wish we could have got that, but you know
I'd probably
I'm
give
still
you a
happy
round
with
for
the
that.
defense,
No,
and
we'll take it.
I'm happy with this trade.
So welcome to Duval, Ezra Cleveland. We think you're going to fit right in, and hopefully he loves it here.
And honestly, I'm just happy we made a move.
Yeah, I mean, like I
Yeah.
said, we're buyers. We're time.
Yeah, I think
mean,
gun
you
to
know what I
head.
mean?
Like if you would have asked me, I said they're probably not going to do anything, even though we want them to.
And it was at the shotgun.
Yeah,
Like,
it was yeah.
late. Like
Yeah.
I didn't expect a move.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, obviously we're talking about Little. Obviously, I mean that's like hopes and dreams. That's
Yeah.
smoking hopium. But
Hope.
for us to actually pull the trigger and do something, I'm going, damn, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
and I think it's
I like it.
offensive line is not a sexy position, but I think it could really help us in the second
Balk
half.
grew some balks.
Yeah. All right.
That's right.
So, yeah, we like